I'm 90 years old, 8/5/26. I didn't figure I'd live this long. Celeron.
Celeron?
Yeah, graduated in 1944.
Was the park very active at the time, Celeron Park?
Yeah, when I was a kid, when I was in school, yeah. In fact, I worked in the park in high school. I ran a little, they had a rifle range there. And I run that for a guy out of Virginia Beach one year. No, we knew the park was pretty active at that time.
December 7th, 1941, a date which will live in infamy.
Yeah, I remember that. In fact, I was in the car with my dad. We were in Buffalo when we heard it on the radio. I just knew that I would be due for the service, and my brother too, my brother Kelly.
Were you drafted or did you enlist?
Yeah, well, I was due to, I got out of high school, and when I turned 18, I had to sign up for the draft, which I did. And I was due to get drafted in 2 weeks. So I drove down to Buffalo, told them I wanted to join the Marine Corps. So they sent me home, and they said, well, we'll see what we can do. And then I went down for the draft, went down to Buffalo, taking a physical, and I thought, well, I'm in the Army. And then the guy come up and says, we got a Marine in this outfit. So there I went to the Marine Corps. Got another train and went to Paris Island.
How long were you at Paris Island?
Well, what was it, 13 weeks, I guess, training there, and then Camp Lejeune, Camp Pendleton, and from there on went overseas. 5th Division and 26 Marines. The 5th was active on Iwo Jima, and I wasn't there. I got hurt, and I was in the hospital in Pearl Harbor, and I didn't get to join the Marine or the 5th Division until after they came back, which probably was real lucky for me.
How did you get hurt?
In training. It wasn't bad. They operated on me, and it was out there in rest camp for a little bit, and a couple weeks, and that was the end of it. It was nothing much.
Did you ever think about the fact that injury may have saved your life?
Yeah, it did. It really did, because otherwise I'd been on Iwo.
Yeah.
Yeah. In fact.
How many Marines were killed at Iwo Jima?
Well, 3,500, I think it was, 4,000. A lot of them. In fact, I'm not sure about this, but one of the guys that put the flag up on Iwo his name was Gagnon, Gagnon. And we had a Gagnon in boot camp, and it was an odd name, and I thought it hit me inside. I just wonder if that was him, because he was in the same.
Was.
Yeah, probably was. I don't know that for sure, but. It just makes sense, because we was all together. It was the 5th Division, and the 5th Division was on Iwo, so I don't know. The war got over, and we went to Japan. We hit the same place in Japan that we was going to hit if the war continued.
Yes. Yeah.
And I went to Sasebo. We got a call that the 26 Marines got separated from the 5th, and we went to Peleliu, right down close to the equator. They had some problems there, and there were some Japs on the island. The island was supposed to be secure, but there were still Japs there was a lot of caves and stuff down there, and they had to be cleaned out. So that's what we went down. And I was on the smaller island. It was Peleliu, was where the air base was, and that's where I was.
There was quite a bit of fighting on Peleliu when they took the island. Could you see any,
Oh, that
any
was-
examples of that when you were still
Oh
there?
yeah, no, it was all over the place.
Was it still a mess?
We'd go out and there was bones all over. There's a lot of guys killed there.
Yeah, it was quite a nasty place.
Yeah, well, up over our tent there, we had a skull, and it was a Japanese skull, but it was a lot of bad fighting there. That was terrible. They were in these full of caves, you know. We'd go around on a day off, and we'd wander around through there, and just to see what was what, get a souvenir or something. But yeah, that was one of the worst fights I think the Marine Corps had, and I'm glad I wasn't there, but at the time, because they did lose a lot of guys.
Those guys were out looking for souvenirs. Did they find anything, any bodies or anything that was booby trapped?
No, most of them were dead so long, and it's real hot, and you know, and most of them were all just bones. You pick up a shoe or something, and all the toe bones would run out. And,
Oh dear.
I had a whole string of Jap teeth, and I finally threw them away. Peleliu was secure when we were the last group to leave the island, and they loaded us. I think there was 54 of us that was left on the island that we had to get off, because we were due to get out. So they flew us on a C-54 from Peleliu to Guam, and we landed in Guam. It was at night, and first sergeant came in and says, we got to have 18, I think it was 16 or 18 volunteers for Guam for some guard duty. And he says, we're going to start from the bottom up, alphabetically. And Swanson, of course, that screwed me right there. So I got...
You didn't raise your hand, huh?
No. Prisoner of war camp. They had two different camps. One was full of the privates and non-commissioned people. There was a couple of hundred of them there. But where I end up was all like officers, all guys that had been charged with torture.
Chance, did they speak English? Did you have any communication with that group?
Oh yeah, with the Japs, yeah. Yeah, we guarded them all day, and in fact I learned a song that I'd never heard before in my life, Lady of Spain. One of them was singing that. They were pretty moxie as far as what the Americans.
He was singing it in English.
Yeah. Yeah, Captain Tanaka, his name was. And they were really pretty good, you know. There was some of them were crazy. We had two doctors there that were trying to commit suicide all the time. They got a hold of a pencil, missed his heart with stabbing himself, but there was the highest ranking guy we had, I think, was a colonel, full colonel. He was always doing something crazy. I think he was just working up to saying he was insane.
People, were they ever tried for war crimes?
Yeah, that's what the deal was about. That's why I went to court with him.
Did you?
Yeah.
And where was court held? In Guam?
In Guam, yeah. In fact, I was going to be interviewed there in Guam, and the guy asked me where I was from. I told him Jamestown, and he knew the Post Journal or the Journal or whatever it was then. He knew all about it, and he was going to put my picture in the paper here in town, and the flash bulb wouldn't go off.
Oh, my
So that was the end of that. I was kind of glad about that anyway. That's about the extent of it.
Now, was this a military trial so that it was United States,
Yeah.
the whole Guam, international, war crimes trials? Because I've read something.
Me too. I think that was probably the high point.
You get notice that the war is over. Well, how did you get the notice, and how did you celebrate?
Well, one guy drank some kind of alcohol he got, and I thought he was going to die. But no, as we was in training, we was all done. I was on Hawaii. I think it was in August, and we got the word that the war was over, and everybody was happy, but it wasn't much of a celebration, but no place to go. There you are then. I met my brother. He was on Saipan, and he was going to this same school that I had been to. It was a flamethrower school, and they flew him in from Saipan to Hawaii to go into this school. So when I found out he was there, he was going to this school, I was in just like a rest camp. I wasn't doing anything. And I told the first sergeant, I said, Jesus, my brother's here, and I'd like to talk to him, like to see him. And he's going to be here for a couple of days with this school. He says, well, why don't you go down and draw sheets with him, draw some blankets with him, just go for a day or two. So that's what I did. I went down and got a hold of him, met him, and I bunked with him for a day or two, I can't remember. And then we pitched to Liberty in Hawaii. They discharged us in San Diego. They had two C-46s, they're cargo planes, that were in the air base there. They were from China. They had been on duty in China, flying the hump in China. Yeah. So they had to get those back to Cherry Point, North Carolina. So we were out with no transportation. We just a small group of us. I think there was 22 in each plane. So they put us on these planes and going to take us to North Carolina. So and they landed in I think it was Austin, Texas, for a fuel stop, and then the two planes took off. Well, ours, we got in Alabama, Montgomery, and this old airplane, one of the old engines quit.
Oh dear.
So I thought, holy crap, here we go all this way, and we're going to go down here. So I looked down, I see the fire trucks running around on the airfield there, and, where they was going to land at Montgomery. So we landed there. We got down okay, and they had this. We spent a good Liberty in Montgomery because nobody ever seen a Marine before. We had a good time there for I think 3 days till they got the Magneto from North Carolina, and that was kind of interesting anyway. But then we ended up at Cherry Point, and then they loaded us on a semi that was half full of tires. And drove us down to the big air base, or big Marine base there, Lejeune, Camp Lejeune, to get discharged. So then we get in there, and they says, well, we'd like to have you guys sign up for another 4 years. You gotta be crazy. So that was the end of that. I had enough points to go home, but always somebody had more, so I got pushed back. But the ship was out in the harbor one day. It was the aircraft carrier, the Boxer, they call it. That's got retired now, but the Boxer was there, the aircraft carrier, and they loaded us on that one day, and that's when I come home. But
So when you came home and you finally come back to Lakewood and you see your mom and dad for the first time, what did they say? What was the reunion like?
well, my mother was real happy to see us, that's for sure, and my brother got home before I did. Well, it was a good time. It was a happy time, you know, and happy to get out and nobody got hurt.
When your kids or family ever did they ask you about World War II at all?
And they don't know any of this that I know of. I don't think so. I never, you know, never talked to them about it. I don't know if they're even interested, but it's something I remember. But that's
Well, it's an important part.
yeah, it was. It missed those good years after you graduate from high school. 4 years that you kind of missed. But yeah, I don't know if the kids know anything about this. I just wonder, I don't.
Well, they will. We'll make sure we share that with them. Well, Bill, I can't thank you enough. We salute you for your service.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.